Looters forcibly evict LA millionaires, wiping gated mansions off the map, which let me translate you that because they're speaking in white supremacists. It says looters, let's replace that with people of color because impoverished. And then for people of color forcibly evict the rich white people, which wiping out the gated communities because they're scared of people. They build walls all around them like they do at the southern border. And off the map because they're coming to kick out white people and they're a bunch of white replacement theorists. And let me see exactly how he breaks down this white supremacist talking point, which is utilized in order to put down black and brown people in all places of America.
Break-ins this weekend, including a robbery in the Hollywood Hills, where police tell NBC4 investigates a 75-year-old man was attacked.
So, criminals in California are targeting well-to-do neighborhoods, cleaning them out completely. But while these home invaders have taken many a mansion for everything it's worth over the last few weeks, they've also gone after working-class families, stealing entire net worths in mere minutes. And with zero police anywhere to be seen, observers say this nightmare is about to get worse.
It's a familiar scene. Police helicopters flying overhead and concerned neighbors in the street after a six-figure home robbery in the Hollywood Hills.
This is the shot that had one homeowner calling 911. Two men enter his side yard, move a camera, and cut the power. His glass door was shattered and his home ransacked. The newest victim of a rash of burglaries in the San Fernando Valley.
When I looked on the cameras, the one thing they do is that they cover their license plate, so it's really hard to identify them. It seemed very highly organized. That's kind of what's disturbing.
How does this make you feel watching this?
Pretty sad, man.
By the time I was at the door, I said, I'm calling the cops because you guys are too many. I cannot handle you guys.
Security cameras captured these men rifling through their belongings back on March 26th. One guy knocked on the door first. Then the family says two others broke in through a small window.
Homeowners say their cameras caught a man checking out homes right before this one was burglarized.
I only heard they got in through her bedroom, ransacked it. They left through the French door in the back. You know, but again, it's happening everywhere.
This is bad news. According to the mayor of Los Angeles, the police department, they're no longer expanding, they're just trying to stop shrinking. And what nobody's talking about is if you defund your police, pretty soon criminals are gonna come to where you live and they're gonna defund that. Which is exactly what's happening in America's largest sanctuary state, where thugs aren't just protected if they're in our country without permission, but tend to also be released after they do things that are illegal, if they end up getting caught at all. And the longer this goes on, the deeper California digs itself into a lawless doom loop. Meanwhile, the progressive solutions to crime waves like this, they have all failed. And that's a
Now you see how he sold that. Not only are they criminals robbing the poor, there are criminals that get away with it, and then he showed a lineup of people of color. Interesting how that works. The usual suspects is what they sell, but if you replace usual suspects with black and brown people, which they want to say, they're suddenly saying black and brown people have privileges to commit crimes. Which is not the truth if according to the statistics of how many black and brown people are in prisons. That ain't the truth. No one getting away with that. And then he tried to sell that the progressives are incompetent. Progressive, another word for people who support the black and brown, also known as the N-word lover. It's a modernization of white supremacist KKK theory in order to utilize to keep people in the inferiority complex. And this man, he ain't getting credit from J.D. Vance or Donald Trump. He gets paid like a cracker in his room, talking smack about black and brown people all day, making thousands if not millions of dollars, without any mention from anyone in Congress, and he has the freedom to talk down on black and brown people to make money off of it. I warned you about these white supremacists. Eyes blue as the ocean, white as snow. Need to make some snow cones out of these people, but you're going to see exactly what happens. These people get all the leniency in the world. They get all the bias of the news and the media, because if he ever came out on there, because they would address his racist ideology, he eventually would get the pass. And this is the ideology that they carry. It's a white man that hates the black and brown, who makes us out as a criminal aspect to make us easy to kill. That's a lynch mob mindset, so that every black and brown person is now seen as somebody to hunt down and kill. And then he's going to push the progressives, back them out by letting them out of jail, which is the black and brown privilege they see, which is we're privileged enough to go homeless and rob people, and we still get let out, but it's still a criminal record to keep track of. We're still seen as a criminal aspect. We're still seen as people not to trust and not to look up to. They tarnish our reputation, our slander and defamation. They frame us as bad people. And then they utilize the system of which the people side with us, the people of color, are the real bad guys in politics. And this person's pushing this idea to 600,000 people on his video and counting. 500,000 people have seen this racist rhetoric and have agreed with his racist ideology. And watch him continue to talk about anyone who wishes to discuss the racial disparity, and he'll disguise his words and his way of action in accordance to his white supremacist ideology, because he does not feel any shame in his game. He's protected by people of whiteness, and you'll see exactly how he continues to talk down on people.
Problem, because we were told that things like security cameras meant we didn't need as many police. But California is now learning the hard way that your multi-million-dollar home needs to be protected by something that doesn't just record crimes, creating endless footage for news organizations so they can report on stories that just don't seem to have an ending ever, much less a happy one, because this state does everything in its power to empower the very people you see or can't really see because they're covered from head to toe, concealing their identity and their license plates. And that brings us to the real reason this epidemic of lawless home invasions isn't just cleaning out the elites, but also the working class. The working class isn't who this state cares about. And California, to a greater extent than anywhere else, except maybe New York, has completely pitted itself against regular people, not just by driving them into the ground through insane taxes, but also by assisting the very criminals and fugitives who prey upon them. A process that starts during street takeovers and gas station looting sprees and moves up from there as there's no consequence. The revolving door justice system here has for those who do things that are wrong. And if the only consequence thieves and robbers face is temporary detainment while getting arrested, the lawlessness you're about to see is California's way of helping looters traverse the looters pyramid to the very top.
They all came in the store and started messing up with the goods, throwing things here and there and grab whatever they can grab.
A swarm of kids turning a quick stop at the gas station into pure chaos.
Maybe it could be over 25 to
30 people.
Surveillance video shows the group rushing into the Chevron gas station on Power Inn Road and Folsom Boulevard, overwhelming the store in seconds. Items flying off the shelves, aisles completely torn apart. Store manager Shala Shan says some even stole merchandise before running out the door.
How does this make you feel watching this?
Pretty sad, man.
Look at this. You got this store owner trying to run a gas station, and these people, they show up and they destroy the whole place.
These people show up and destroy the place. Now, he says that about these people when he talked about the homeless in New York. He said the real working class were working real jobs to buy property in $5 million worth of value. And he said that anyone else who cannot afford buying property is not a real working person. And now these people are trying to utilize this ideology in order to they show again black people in order to victimize themselves as, look, they're attacking a brown man. This is divide and conquer. They divide the people of color in order to say they will come for you too, they will attack you next, and they utilize this in order to spread victimhood from the currency of the rich to the poor. So now they have the poor trickle-down effect, which is the trickle-down of victimhood. So now everyone can feel like they're under attack. Everyone can feel like they're victimized by this system, and then he'll insert some talking points about the real working class, because now suddenly the working class is someone who's poorer than him, and they're being victimized by the rich. The rich, of course, is his narrative, because his narrative can go and attack any person he wants, divide them, utilize that as a currency, and then say that the real poor people are the ones getting victimized in this video. But in his other video, he'll talk about how you're not rich enough to buy $5 million in property. You ain't really a person that is working class. That's white supremacy, because he wants white people at the top, or people who are black or brown, that he can utilize as a token purchased slave in order to say that he knows what he's talking about. He says that the real working class are victimized. He'll show white victims, and then when you start to question why they're always white, he'll utilize some people of color to say they're victims and utilize criminality in order to victimize everyone. That's currency. He uses the skin color like it's a currency you can use in a talking point. But if you look at the statistics, the working class are all the poor. They are the impoverished people. They can't buy property. 60 to 70% of America's living paycheck to paycheck. His ideology is entitlement. And he'll sit there and drink his coffee in his exaggerated state, make thousands of dollars talking down on black and brown people, and then say it's about something else instead. He factored out the N-word in order to say the same slur in different pieces that you can barely detect, because you need the math of this racist in order to put back into something, because they just don't want to do anything to change the system. They want to encourage white supremacy. They want to encourage the idea that if you even mention race, you're a racist to avoid the real caste system that is pushing down people of color. Because if you address the race, you start to realize it's a lot of white people with purchased slaves, which are the privileged class that talk down on you as well. And then the people who actually uplift this country and work for it are the ones that are called lesser, or people that are not equal to the white man. Don't forget they're slaves. They're the buffer before you get to the white class that is running everything and talking about it all and telling you what to say in order to take the shots.
Now, when you watch something like this, you got to ask yourself, how many people involved in this got up and did what progressives and the communists love to tell us? They say, oh, they just made a wrong decision. They were with the wrong kids and everything went. No, these are people who built up to this level somehow, and that's the fault of the justice system here. Nobody wakes up one day and decides to go cause tens of thousands of dollars of damages to a business. Now, yes, some of the people in this massive group were probably involved in this flash mob style trash and grab for the first time. But who orchestrated this? Who are the ringleaders? Whose idea was this? What have they done before? And if this is how people start out in California and there's no consequences, why are we surprised that there are home invasions everywhere? And as you're about to see, the consequences for these shoplifters are the same consequences the home invaders face. Watch.
You guys are too many. I cannot handle you guys.
Satish Chandra, the only worker that night, called 911.
I called them at about 8:04, right? They said the police are on the way.
They said that?
Yeah, they said, right? After 10 minutes, I called 8:19. I called them back. I said, man, hey, what's going on? What you guys want me to do?
The Sacramento Police Department telling KCRA in a statement. At the time, the caller was advised that officers were responding to and handling a related call in the 200 block of Bicentennial Drive involving a group of juveniles causing a disturbance.
There is so much crime happening all over California. It doesn't matter if it's LA, doesn't matter, it's NorCal. The police don't have the resources to deal with it. They're totally overwhelmed. They're getting a call over here. They're already on their way over here. This is a nightmare scenario. And this is what's happening with these home invasions. You got people.
Notice that he uses black people as a criminality aspect because that crime is from juvenile black people, under 18-year-old black people. He used that as a crime aspect to say all of the cities now under attack, to which you have the example he uses black people here, and then he says all of them countries under attack from these types of people. Criminality pushed under the skin color to which to enact rage, so when you're upset and angry about this, you can't think clearly, and then he utilizes that to sell you capitalism for the rich white class. He's hypnotizing you by getting you to think like a damn fool, and then use that hypnosis like you use sound waves to a cobra to hypnotize the venomous white supremacist to prevent strikes against him in order to strike against the black and brown people. And he'll utilize that in order to push now his new agenda, which is these people are causing the issue. These people. And you know what these people are when it comes to these guys. It's black and brown. And they'll divide and conquer. What, do you want to get robbed? No, you want to get hurt? Oh, look at their solutions. They underfund the police. He's referencing BLM. Underfund police. Defund police. Police got an increase of funding during BLM. They got more money than the last year. They didn't get decreased funding. That's more income. They made more recruits. They made more expansions to their program. And he used that in accordance to a one singular body cam video, which is filled with racists, by the way, that watch this. They say the usual suspects taking out the trash like snuff film fantasy weirdos that are watching black and brown people get gunned down and say good riddance. And then they utilize these one-off videos in order to enact the entire hatred and monolithic hatred toward the black and brown communities. And then he pushes a monetary agenda to help feed the rich class and say they're robbing you and these are the people that you want to give money to. These are the people you're taxing us for. You're not giving the executioners, the police money, which they already are getting increased year after year. And he uses that hatred you feel in that video of injustice in order to enact the injustices they will enact onto entire communities of black and brown people, into entire communities of working class, and then rob them dry of their income. White supremacists evolved to the modern era.
Breaking into houses all over town. You got police headed to one reported crime. And what happens? Criminals know there's an opportunity somewhere else. And what's crazy is even though you don't have teenagers committing these home invasions, as far as we know, most of the people that get arrested in these heists, whether it's a jewelry store or a multi-million-dollar mansion, happen to be adults. If adults are operating as criminals in a critical mass, that is going to trickle down to the kids that live in that society, and that's what we're seeing here. We're creating and raising up the new generation of felons and car thieves. Isn't this wonderful? No, it's not.
This is the shot that had one homeowner calling 911 as two men enter his side yard, move a camera, and cut the power. When he arrived at his Valley Glen home minutes later, his glass door was shattered and his home ransacked.
It's awful.
The newest victim of a rash of burglaries in the San Fernando Valley. And although this homeowner didn't want to speak on camera, his neighbors, like many in this area, are on edge.
I believe
it's definitely happening more often. There's just been a spike in things that I've been seeing.
Wow. So neighbors are saying this is an epidemic. And why is it an epidemic? It's because crime is not punished at any level. Yes, these home invaders, if they are ever caught and apprehended, something will probably happen to them. But how do you get to be at the level of a home invader? You don't wake up one morning and say, well, I could put on my suit in my closet and go to my office and be an accountant today, or I could join a gang, wear a mask, and break into homes. Gee, which one? Like, that's not the decision-making process of these people. We've created hardened criminals. That's what's happening in these blue states. It's happening in New York. It's happening in California. These justice systems that just let people out as fast as they arrest them. They're the reason you have somebody who becomes a hardened thug and says, you know what, I'm going to steal for a living because all my friends are doing it. Nothing's happening. When I was younger, I knew people who were doing it. Everybody's getting away with it, and I don't want to get a real job working at the same gas station I just robbed. I don't want to get into an economy legitimately because there's no loss of freedom or privilege for these folks. Nothing seems to be happening to them, so they keep committing crime. And you got to ask yourself, if these folks were arrested and put in jail and lost their freedom, would any of this be appealing? Would robbery be appealing? No, because you lose your freedom once you get caught.
Tuesday night, two other homes were hit.
It's terrible, you know, it's not a good feeling.
Osnat Miara's home on Hatteras was burglarized Tuesday night. She says the same thing happened. A camera moved, the power cut, and her back door shattered as burglars tipped over furniture and went through her belongings.
A professional
30
operation.
minutes later on Hesby, homeowners say their cameras caught a man checking out homes right before this one was burglarized.
Look at that.
I heard they got in through her bedroom, ransacked it. They left through the French door in the back.
Look at this. They had ADT home security signs all over the place. Didn't do anything because a home security system is useless if there's no man with a badge at the other end of whatever alarm goes off. If the alarms are going to go off and nothing's going to happen and the police response time is delayed because they're shorthanded, because they're dealing with so much crime they can't get to your crime because they're dealing with a crime over here, criminals are just going to go on a rampage. And that's what we're seeing here. And you know, if you started at the candy store, if you went to that footage and you figured out who those people were because they're all on camera, and you showed up at their homes, and if they faced an actual consequence, at least people would understand that the police are serious. You got people getting arrested in these deep blue cities that tell the cops to their face that you can't do nothing to me. I'm going to be out. I'm going to be back out. There are militant criminals out there, and they've learned to be that way. They've been taught that being a militant criminal is a way of life and is a viable existence because there is nothing that will happen. And it's
You see his rage he feels for this idea that they're just getting away? He's watching body cams of people getting arrested, so they didn't get away. Second of all, he's calling them militant criminals while wearing a militant sweater with a patch with Velcro on it in order to wonder where this community comes from. It's the white nature. It's white supremacy selling you the idea of 3%ers and supremacist militias everywhere to fight like terrorists. And it's the ideology of bearing arms to everyone that is fantasizing about fighting with this. He is just a white supremacist who is the origin of this ideology he is scared of. These are not militant criminals. They're not getting away. The prisons are overstacked and overfilled with criminals. They get life sentences all the time. You have to pick out the smallest cases to use as bait for this because the other videos he used were body cams where they went to jail. And then he's going to say the ones that got away made him feel rage. And look at him ball his fists up and grit his teeth because he feels rage toward the people of color. Because he hates the people of color that fight back. Because fighting back to him was communism and socialism, to which he navigated through body cams and hate crime videos that he utilized to sell you the idea of militant criminality. And then he told you they get away to make you want to chase them down and get them yourself. It's theatrics he's pushing. It is white supremacy. They do this with the Muslims. They do this with the white supremacist ideology that they don't like because they say these are one-off mass shooters, and then they re-navigate around to black people, like Charlie Kirk's last words, white or black people mass shootings, and then they send him off, and then they'll utilize that in order to say that they're actually persecuting their people, and then we're not persecuting our own, when ours are persecuted to such a degree that they wish to just jail up every poor person in America, and then they feel this idea that they're all just getting away because they have to sell you the idea of a lynch mob. He's wearing a militant jacket, for God's sake. He is selling you the idea of militancy. He is selling you the propaganda to arm yourself. He's saying they're gonna come get you. That's arm yourself calling to action. He's saying they're militant. He's wearing militant clothes to say you must prepare in militancy. And so if you're a black or brown person who sees already a militia of white people armed to the teeth, ready to discriminate against you, to put you in prison, he is saying that that same victimhood that black and brown people should feel validated for and actually feel in fear for, he is trying to rob you of your very victimhood to say that his people, the white race, should fight back. But he factored out those words in order to make it sound like it's about communism, but that communism is another call to action against black and brown people. It is his ideology of hatred that guides him. It is his oppressive white supremacy that he utilizes, and it is that ideology that he wishes to build himself off of in order to say he is victimized for being called an anti-white, or anti-white racists are after him, and it's the anti-black and brown narratives he sells that now he says is just anti-communism and anti-socialism. And then he'll say that, what are you, on the side of criminality? Of course not, no one's on the side of criminality. But they understand the oppressor like this man here is selling you the idea of killing and pillaging the black and brown working class neighborhoods. And whenever there's a march, and whenever there is a black person who has been killed unjust, he will be there to sell you the idea that they were justifiably killed, they were justifiably arrested, because he's already conjured up this victimhood of whiteness, that all white people are under attack, that we must arm ourselves against a black and brown scourge. But don't worry, look at Candace Owens, look at this black or brown person that's selling ideology to us, that's telling us we're valid in our victimhood of whiteness, so that they can say you're doing the same thing. The difference is the same thing, is that we are actually oppressed people at the lowest levels of society. He claims that he has working class people, but in his other video he said working class people buy $5 million property. His working class are spoiled. His working class are millionaires. He doesn't know what this is. He's the champagne socialist because his nationalized perspective of whites only in this nation is his nationalist perspective. And then he'll have the socialist perspective of leave us alone and give us more tax breaks and give us more of our money back for the rich white man, which is socialism for the rich, because it'll be enacted, it'll be practiced for only white rich men and their slave-owned class.
So frustrating to watch this happening to people who worked hard and are just being disenfranchised.
NBC4's Keenan Willard explains why security systems and cameras may not be enough to stop your home from becoming a target.
Yeah, they're not enough.
It's a familiar scene. Police helicopters flying overhead and concerned neighbors in the street after a six-figure home robbery in the Hollywood Hills.
That's crazy.
It happened around 9:30 last night on Macapa Drive. The LAPD tells NBC4 investigates 2 men broke in through a window at this home and were stealing $150,000 worth of jewelry.
Now, what gave people the confidence to break into a home and steal six-figure sums of wealth? What gave them that confidence? It's a repeated track record of committing crime and getting away with it. If you commit a crime at a candy store and you get away with it, well, how about a video game store? If that works, well, how about a jewelry store? How about a shopping mall? And if that works, why not try to steal a car? You see, people are climbing this criminal pyramid until they get so good at doing things that are wrong that it's all that they know and it's all they want to pursue. And all of the
He just described perfectly what happens with white capitalism that turns into white socialism at the top. You start exploiting people at the bottom. You start taking advantage of the poor people there. Eventually you build something up and then you take advantage of a lot more people. And then you get to the richest levels of society that you're a professional capitalist that gives your money out to white rich people at the top, that gives benefits to your homies, your gangbangers at the top, which are white men that have militias, that have private military, private security, that fund police, that fund the militarized ICE, and then they utilize utilize this overconfidence of criminality, of exploitation, that now the Supreme Courts are holding you accountable and cutting out all of your benefits you use and your criminality of exploitation to get that mansion that he has a privilege to say is a home, a house, as if to minimize that was a Hollywood Hills house that was able to afford 6 figures of jewelry and gold and jewels that he now says poor rich people. They are now the victim of this criminality, which are going to be the impoverished people, that he's now gonna say is not impoverished, these are professional criminals. Because now we will become the professional genius criminality. We will become genius criminals, genius master manipulators in a society that has masterfully manipulated you all into thinking that the black and brown are criminal aspects and that the real working class are the rich white class, and anyone that they have purchased into the middle and upper classes are not tokens because now you're the racist, and now they have robbed the black and brown people of even calling anyone a racist to begin with. They have robbed you of your very nature of what you are in, which is that you get to point out they are forcing you into impoverished means, which they have utilized the same system in Israel and Palestine in order to force a terroristic aspect, because once you get impoverished so much so that your entire populations are now tent cities and impoverished cities that have nothing to eat and nothing to show for, they will kill you off and then say anyone who is defending themselves in that territory is now an oppressive measure of terroristic origin, which he has already sold you as militia criminality in a society that is not shooting bottle rocket missiles over to Israel's Iron Dome, but rather is now robbing multi-million-dollar houses with 6 figures of jewelry in it, and now they want to sell you the idea that you are a militia terroristic squad of these master manipulators and these mastermind criminals. And they will all ignore the race in order to give themselves that quality of the white liberal at saying, you didn't say the magic word of what race they are, so you must be the real racist. You must be the real hate-filled agenda. To which what measure are they selling you this under? It's white supremacy. Their militias have perfect legality. Their criminality of exploiting the working class and being richer and richer is fine. Their criminality of using the government benefits to keep you poor and impoverished is fine. Their nepotist circles that exploit the system are all hidden and secret. Overtime usage illegally. Don't worry, if you snitch, you ain't in with us and we'll still commit the overtime fraud. They've robbed you of your very nature, of which is you being able to say what is happening. So now you can't even address the oppressive measures because they'll say you're evil, they'll frame you like criminals, they'll put guns to your head, they'll put knives to your neck and under your chin, they'll put a knife to you to make you humiliate yourself. And then they'll use your humiliation as a way to justify even more currency to buy the tokens that they purchase for being simple-minded fools who would eat up their narratives for any third party, which is an out-of-state country of business, of money, of real estate, of riches beyond your wildest dreams to purchase your opinion, to purchase your livelihood. And then you'll be one of the chosen people buying those properties, playing the fake oppression, saying, how are they racist if I'm black or brown and I'm rich? How are they racist if I'm brown and black and I own companies and I pay them good wages? They're purchasing you like slave auctions. And I promise you these people are not wise enough to say it, because if they are wise enough to say it, that's a good boy by the white man's side, because that's a good slave, that's a good dog, that's a good cattle. It does good by the farmer's word. Where are you going to get a better business than here? Where are you going to get better real estate than here? Where are you going to get better wages than obeying the white man? They sell you slavery and they make you love slavery because they'll show you a system on the way out and they'll show you the way out's better than the way in because the way in's disobeying the white man. A militia jacket while talking about militia criminality. To sell you, you must arm yourselves to fight back. And then he'll sell you the usual suspects, which is another word for the N-word. Another word for the illegal invader Latino. For another word for another criminal aspect that's trending. They'll name Asian. They'll name Indian. They'll name any Asian and that's a different race and call it a Muslim. They'll call it a Jewish nature of its supremacy. And then they'll hide the nature of which oppresses them all, which is not white.
These places have this idea that, oh, diversion is what we need. We need to tell people that they're on the wrong track. We need to tell people that there's a better way. Well, people don't listen when to them, the better way is getting what they can now while no one's around to stop them. And that's why these security cameras are useless. All these homeowners were told, hey, if you just go out and get a security system, that'll help protect your home. That'll help police identify these criminals. Yeah, well, it doesn't. Why? They're all covered up. No one knows who they are. All we know is some people that were covered from head to toe in clothing. You can barely even see them, robbed your home. And if we see anybody who looks like that, maybe they'll be the same person. There's no reassurance for these homeowners. They've all got security systems, which means the law-abiding can do nothing to stop this kind of thing.
Into twice in 24 hours this weekend.
Wow.
The thieves here also breaking in through a window.
When you have these high-end homes in the Hollywood Hills, Mulholland Drive, and the Sherman Oaks area, these are all high-value property homes.
Law enforcement experts say thieves are targeting homes in these neighborhoods, sometimes watching for weeks to see what's inside and when homeowners are usually away.
They tend to then have large amounts of cash, high-end value jewelry, expensive vehicles. So this is why it's very important to take extra measures to protect yourself and your loved ones.
So what are those measures in a state like California that releases criminals endlessly? What measures are you supposed to take? I know what they are. Don't have anything nice in your home. And instead of buying a nice home, don't. Buy another home. Live somewhere else. Don't live there. Don't have any of that stuff, because if you have it, criminals are going to show up and take it away and nobody's going to be around to stop them. That's how you protect yourself. Live in a tent. Why don't you just do that? Live in a tent on the street. Have zero things. Have no worldly belongings. Then you'll be fine. Then no one can rob you. All because we don't want to put the criminal element here behind bars. All because we don't want to build a jail and fill it up with people who do things that are wrong and have been filling up their backpacks with stuff in your home.
Just an hour apart, one on Hespy Street and the other on
Every
Hatteras
hour.
Street in North Hollywood. In all of these crimes, the thieves got away. And today, Mayor Karen
They all
Bass
got away.
announced that the LAPD will have additional patrols along Ventura Boulevard, but this is not where the burglaries are occurring.
Oh, that's
the mayor
weird.
also said that there will be license plate readers that will be used, and the city will be hosting community meetings. Now,
Right. So while this person is hosting plywood to board up their home, the community is going to have some meetings that the mayor is going to organize, and they're going to have police in another area of town patrolling that area, which is supposed to make people over here where the break-ins are happening feel safe. Like, this is not a solution. This is just people talking about what's wrong and doing nothing about it. There is only one solution. Criminals do not understand anything other than jails and jumpsuits, okay? And they don't understand diversion. They don't understand second chances. Those are just a continue in the real-life game of GTA that they're playing with people's properties, people who've worked very hard, by the way, and this whole idea that we're gonna have license plate readers, that's not gonna do anything.
Probably like 1:30 in the morning.
Mark Grossen lives on Berry Court, where his cameras caught these cars around 1:30 early Sunday morning.
When I looked on the cameras, the one thing they do is that they cover their license plate, so it's really hard to identify them. It seemed very highly organized. That's kind of what's disturbing.
Yeah, because they know that there's cameras. They know that the license plate of their vehicle will mean that that vehicle gets tracked down and they potentially get caught committing a crime. So what do? They eliminate the ability of any passive device to catch them. Cameras are useless, plate readers are useless, and as you're about to see, it's not just the wealthy that are getting hit here.
Burger Basket has been a staple mom and pop shop in Monrovia since 1963, back when a quarter-pound patty and fries was just 65 cents. But they've been closed for a couple of weeks because one of the owners who mans the grill has been hospitalized due to stress after thieves broke into their nearby home and stole their entire life savings.
We don't have much time left already. We're not young anymore.
Pan and her husband Vorawat were hoping to retire in 5 to 7 years with the $140,000 in cash.
This is awful, man. These are the people who suffer the most because of this. It's not like crime is just affecting people who are rich and people who have made themselves a target. No, everyone's a target in a lawless environment. Nobody gets away unscathed except the criminals. That's why it's a lawless environment. And here you got people breaking through a door. Look, they broke through the screen door on this porch and went into these people's house and took everything they had. And now they can't retire.
Inside a lockbox.
Victimhood. He leads with the victimhood. Criminality are coming for us all. We're in a lawless land. Militia jacket, by the way. And he always sits around and says he's the victim. He's the victim. He's the victim. We're all going to be victims. Because when he talks about victimhood toward the rich, like he does his other videos, he talks about the rich and wealthy and millions of dollars. Now he covers up for the poor people, which he says, look at these poors. And he covers off the one-offs on body cams and any of those body cams he can use in order to push his white supremacist propaganda. Suddenly, everyone's a victim. Suddenly, everyone's equal to the white man's victimhood, which is the criminality that is professional in his eyes, because he wants to sell terroristic criminality as something that's real and can kill us all. because he wants to justify the lynch mobs that will be used for you to justifiably, in his eyes, look at every black and brown person as a potential terrorist, look at every black and brown person as a potential criminality, and then look at anyone who is sophisticated or educated as a master manipulator of white supremacist aspects that can now kill and slaughter any white man or black or brown person because they're now master criminals. Master manipulators, they'll call you. I promise you that. They'll insult you, they'll disrespect you, and then you show any intelligence, you're now a criminal. If you are a white man, you're now a genius. You're now someone worthy of going to school. You're someone worthy of buying stuff for it to invest in their future. You're someone worthy of taking them to go to colleges to get multiple degrees so they can look smart. Meanwhile, the same person on the other side is looked as a criminal aspect, is looked as a terroristic aspect, is looked as someone who is lesser or inferior. He wants to sell you that anyone who is intelligent is criminal, and then you will accidentally, according to his viewpoint, because he'll put up black and brown suspects, and then he'll try to play the victimhood card and say you're pointing out race, and then he'll utilize that in order to get more support for his white supremacist backing. And then he'll say your genius ideology of being a brown man who's smart is now genius criminality. So he'll rob you of your education, he'll rob you of your future, he'll rob you of your identity, because now all of you are criminals. If you're not a criminal, he'll say you're going to be a criminal, or you got away with criminality. In a militia jacket, what do you think he's selling to the white man? What do you think he's selling to the average person who's watching his videos through their naivety because they don't have enough time to educate themselves on these subjects? He's selling you a white lynch mob. And he's trying to buy the tokens, dumb enough to get it, so he doesn't have to pay for them. He just has the tokens coming on in, working for free on his yard, picking his cotton for free, because they're eating his ideology right up. They're eating up his environment right up. He's a white supremacist and proud. I promise you that, because he'll replace white supremacy with a proud American who's civilized. And they'll sell you that you're the one putting your own people down for acknowledging the system they use in order to put you there, at the lowest class of society.
At their home. Security cameras captured these men rifling through their belongings back on March 26th. One guy knocked on the door first. Then the family says two others broke in through a small window, manhandled their dogs, and stole priceless mementos handed down through their family over generations.
That's awful.
In addition to the money in the lockbox.
Those money actually is for my retirement. Yeah. So that I've been working for 30 years.
Right. So you got people who came here, obeyed the laws, went after the American dream, worked hard for 30 years, and what happens? A lawless city allows that to be stolen from them? You literally have people having their American dream taken out of their hands, taken out of their apartment in the middle of the day by criminals while they're at work making our country a better place. This should be a major red flag, and nobody should be able to get away with this and walk the streets after. But that's the type of society people think is okay in California for some reason. We think it's okay to allow teenagers to commit crime all over town because, oh, it's not a big deal. And then when people get caught breaking into some home or breaking into a jewelry store, stealing a whole bunch of stuff, then we decide to possibly start dealing with the ramifications of their criminal activity. Then we start to take this seriously. So that's the problem. You can't just go after the crime at the very top. And this is what socialized justice systems say. They say, hey, you know what? The stuff at the bottom, let's let that go. We don't want to have over-incarceration. We don't want to waste the police's time with people stealing candy. But what happens? Those people work their way up. And now you have overall higher levels of home invasions, carjackings, these wild crimes, because you got people that have been criminals for decades by the time they get to that level where they're breaking into these homes, where they've got a crowbar and they're cracking the safe at a jewelry store. That person didn't get up yesterday and figure that out. No, they built up to it. And unless you're going to stop people from climbing the looters pyramid, they're going to do it. And stuff like this is going to keep happening.
Notice how he said, before I finish this off, he said the people at the bottom get let go. Wealth disparity, look it up. Constantly black and brown people, Latino and African American, and they'll divide and conquer you and say, what about the Asian? I promise you they are the most vain people and most racist ideologues that you will ever see. These people are intently attacking the people of color. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more of this analysis of these white men who have been oppressing you in your neighborhoods, oppressing you in your homes, oppressing you in everywhere you go, because you have to listen to the nonsense coming out of their mouth, and you have to shut up that noise because they won't stop yapping away. Make sure you always keep an eye on these people because they'll make you feel inferior in a society that preaches equality. It is Darwinism in their eyes, but it is white supremacy in ours. Thank you for watching.